Welcome to the Riders Lounge. I'm Mark Fawcett, and today on the show we are reviewing the Jones Howler. Thanks for joining us again today on the Riders Lounge. We're going to be reviewing the Jones Howler. It's new in their line, and it's Victor de la Rue's basically signature board, stepping from the Aviator onto the Howler. But first, I really got to thank our sponsors. Without them, we could not make this show happen. So we have Cole Headwear, BALDFACE Lodge, Stoke the Fire Hotsauce, Nelson Brewing Company, James Brand Knives, and our new sponsor, This Is Coffee. So cool. Actually, we just got these in, so I'm excited to bring these out with me into the field. So the Jones Howler comes in 3 sizes, and they're packed pretty tight together: a 158, a 160 wide, and a 161. They sent us the 61 to ride, and it worked. I'm usually like the Bighorn series, but I fared really well on the standard 161. Again, me being about 185, 5'8". They describe it as a technical big mountain freeride board. Totally concur with that. Within their ratings, they say it's an 8 out of 10 for freeride, a 9 out of 10 for powder, and an 8 out of 10 for the park. And I also concur with that. It is a directional board, of course, from all aspects really, but Ride is definitely designed to be able to handle serious switch riding. So big kicked tail there. It's almost 20 centimeters long. The tip's 26. So I don't think anyone would have any trouble stomping something and landing switch, even if you're set back in this for a powder day. The overall riding characteristics, it's got that really nice Jones feel. It's super solid right under the feet. The core profile exemplifies that. Easy to pedal. I was surprised at for how stable it was fore and aft, how well I could pedal it with my feet and maneuver it in tight places. But for sure, the DNA of this board is for going fast, bigger drops and jumps and landings. So this thing definitely has, I wouldn't call it a stiff tail where it's unreasonable, but behind the back binding, there's a lot of meat there. So I never felt I could ever have this board squirt out on me. As well in front of the front foot, but more so behind the back foot. You can see it in the core profile. It's funny now, we can take a look at a board and you can almost tell the characteristics by looking at the core profile. But they did I know Victor's really particular about his boards. He does like them responsive. So to make this board responsive, there's almost no early rise, tip and tail. It's a fully cambered board. That being said, it didn't mean I had a stiff spot or a dig-in spot here at the transition into the tip. That's often what I feel when we have boards that don't have much early rise, where the camber just goes straight from camber into nose. Often you get a little hard or sticky spot. They did the blend really well, but it is quicker than boards that normally have early rise, but very clean. So carving this thing was amazing. Plus, because they have a 3D contour, basically spoon in the tip and tail, 4 mils, and that kicks in right at this contact point, that also assists it being able to roll over really clean and not dig in at the beginning of the contact point. The other pros you get from fully cambered board, landings. You ride a flat board or a rockered board and do a hard landing versus a board with camber, you will feel the camber. It is in effect some suspension. Also, you get pop of the whole board. So the whole board was really springy, both, you know, giving me energy back if I was turning and also for jumping for sure. Victor, he, he likes to spin off really technical stuff, so the side cut keeps rolling in through here as well. It doesn't, I wouldn't say it tapers off in side cut radius. Looks to me it's just a straight radius all the way through. So for the dimensions of the board, again, this was the 161 I had out, and it's 26 wide at the waist, and found it like really perfect for that style of riding. You know, if I'm going out to just purely carve the hell out of groomers, I'll ride something wider and longer often. But for like proper free ride, do everything, 26 was really good with my size 10 feet, and I was running -3 degrees in the back foot, 24 in the front. The 158 is a 25.7, so a little bit narrower on the 58, which makes sense. And then the 160 wide for folks with big feet has a waist width of 26.7, so you'll have, you know, be able to accommodate those size 12s, etc. on that board. Victor's not a big guy. I think he's about my size and probably a little lighter. Guessing he likely rides the 58. The taper, 8 mils of taper on this. So that's what I was saying. That's sort of my sweet spot. Somewhere between 5 mils and a centimeter seems to be a sweet spot for taper. They're right in there at 8 mils. But riding switch, like no problem. For sure, landing switch on this thing, no problem. Who is it for? Wouldn't necessarily say it's for beginner or novice riders. Definitely intermediate through very advanced. Again, you watch what Victor is doing on this and what he wants this board to do. Advanced riders that for sure want to be able to go both ways, do big switch landings, big drops. This board is going to support you and stand you back up really well. I would also say for some people that ride mostly directional, but do like to kind of play around in the park, this board will have no problem owning the park. No problem at all. It's, you know, for that style of rider, big mountain free ride, all mountain free ride, this is a hell of a board. Might have been one of my favorite Jones boards to date. I think what I was really liking was the full camber. And they've done such a good job of the blend here where they didn't have to use all that early rise where you're sort of missing some of the board. So that full camber feels really good. The core is a mix. There's some bamboo stringers in there, which I think I feel, and Polonia, which is kind of an industry standard now for its strength to weight ratio. There's also some choroid in here, which is essentially like a honeycomb polymer that they put in, particularly at the ends here. Again, for its strength to weight ratio is really good, and you want those ends to be nice and light. So it's got a really light swing weight to it. Really nimble. I sort of cruised around in some like bumpy mogul trees for a minute or two just to see how it would react in tight areas, and it's really easy to ride from that standpoint. So the Jones Howler, an all-mountain weapon. Thank you so much for watching the Riders Lounge. We will see you next time.